All right, happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to How to Master LinkedIn. My name is Albert Chen. I am your host. And with me is Jonayed Iqbal, founder of NoDegree.com. Jonayed is a trusted Albert's List presenter, and he's been here many times treating our bootcamp members to teaching them how to use LinkedIn. And that's what he's going to focus on today. LinkedIn, as many of you know, is the premier social network today to build your business, find work, network, and build your personal brand. Joe Knight has done all that, getting the LinkedIn top voice badge and really engaging everybody that he can when it comes to business, career, and everything in between. Few things, this is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel. If you have any questions, feel free to use the webinar chat or the Q&A, and we'll try to get to you by the time this webinar is over. All right, Joe Knight, thanks for coming back and joining us. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
All right. So, hey everyone. My name is Janad Iqbal. I'm the founder of NoDegree.com and host of the No Degree podcast. I specialize in helping people without college degrees find meaningful jobs that pay well. And on my podcast, I interview people without college degrees and have them share their story. So, I'm a professional resume writer. I've written over 700 resumes, so I spent thousands of hours writing resumes. I've seen probably 10K plus resumes, and I've place people. Some of my clients have gotten jobs at like the Amazons, the Microsofts, the Googles. Some of them have had college degrees, some of them have not. And I'm here to really share just what you can do and just to kind of share some stats. Um, I'll just kind of share. So I have about 43,000 followers. So I've learned a lot about the ins and outs of LinkedIn. I'm not as active as I used to be because I'm just kind of so busy with work. But LinkedIn is a great platform, and just to kind of show you, I know what I'm talking about. I have 302 recommendations. Some of you may see a little lower because of privacy settings of some of the people who've left me recommendations, but I know a lot about LinkedIn, and I can really share the insights that I've learned from myself and from my clients. And I want to make sure that this session is interactive. So if any of you have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to put it in the chat. I want to make this engaging and I want to make this fun. So as we start going off this, I really want to share some interesting stats. Um, so let's let's look at this. So let's talk about LinkedIn, right? So let's kind of mention uh we're gonna cover like the stats, why LinkedIn, some of the benefits, and some tips and takeaways. So some stats on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has 1 billion users, right? And obviously there are more than there are not that many people in the US, but this is all over the world. So LinkedIn is a global platform. Uh, 49 million users actively look for jobs on LinkedIn. About 16.2% are active daily. And another benefit is the majority of users are between 25 and 34. 60% are millennials, and only 2% are 55 and older. So LinkedIn is a younger platform that is better for job seekers. You don't, whereas like something like Facebook, the demographic tends to shift older, so you'll get a lot of people retirees who aren't actively looking for jobs, whereas LinkedIn, they are, right? So this is some good stats. So the other stats are in 2022. So LinkedIn was acquired by Microsoft in 2018, and they've really gotten a lot of resources, a lot of support. 88. Albert, are we sharing the slides? I mean, I'm more than happy to share mine, but sure, yeah, we'll share the slides. So 88% increase in hires in 2022, and 75% of job seekers say they have used LinkedIn to find new jobs. LinkedIn is one of the most used job sites. The top is Indeed, second is LinkedIn. Now, just realize that LinkedIn is better for certain jobs. I still recommend having a diverse approach to your job search. But realize that Indeed tends to beat it because there are some retail jobs, there's some warehouse jobs and all that are on Indeed, not on LinkedIn, just because that demographic isn't on LinkedIn. But a lot of you are probably job seekers in, looking for typical corporations and not looking for warehouse jobs. So LinkedIn is the place you want to be. And as you see, it beats ZipRecruiter, Career Builder, Monster, and Glassdoor by a lot. Um, Now, the other aspect of LinkedIn is that it is great if you have a business. It is great if you have a personal brand. It is one of the top platform for B2B leads. The organic reach is still high. Most social media platforms make their money through advertising. LinkedIn makes its money through recruiter licenses. So think about this. All the other platforms have to eventually restrict organic reach by a lot for ads. And in the beginning, they may be generous with their organic reach, but over time, they start taking it away because they need to focus on ads and sponsored posts. LinkedIn does not need to do that. LinkedIn is profitable without any ads. They recruiters pay, and think about it. What do recruiters want? Recruiters want people on the platform. And think about it. If you're a recruiter and you're looking for a certain type of candidate, LinkedIn makes it easy to find that type of candidate, right? You can find through your headline, they can find through your companies, they can find through your titles, they can find through keywords. So that's one of the benefits of LinkedIn, that if you optimize your profile and you position your profile right, you will get opportunity. And I've seen some people, like I've gotten hit up by, because of LinkedIn, I've gotten hit up by Amazon, I've gotten hit up by Facebook. Whereas sometimes applying to these jobs directly is really tough since I am a very non-traditional candidate. The other thing compared to other social media platforms is LinkedIn is less competition. If you realize a lot of the content creators on LinkedIn are not that good, they use very basic posts. It's not, they put minimal effort into it. So if you put meaningful content and you start building relationships, you will go far. It is also an amazing networking platform. So I always like, I've met Albert because of someone, because of LinkedIn, right? And I've met so many other people, and because of LinkedIn, I've met Albert in person. I've met some of the people in Albert's list in person, and LinkedIn is that connecting portion of it. Um, and yes, we've got great tacos in Queens. So here's some stats. If you see, like, these are some older stats when I was more active, but you see, it's like you can get a lot of search results. I'll actually show some live stats, just to kind of show all of you um, where I'm at. So yeah, and any quick questions for anybody in the crowd? And Albert, if you want to drill me with questions. So, uh,
Yeah, so when it comes to LinkedIn, what are the tips and tricks that you have for making your LinkedIn, at least from the very basic standpoint, uh, be solid?
yeah,
Let's
so
talk about that.
you got to think. Recruiters need to vet you. They need to figure out. So most of the time, people's profiles are very empty. Their headlines are very bare. They don't have much, they don't have things filled out. And think about it. How is LinkedIn Recruiter gonna work? It's a search engine. Search engines work on keywords. So make sure you fill out your profile. You make it complete. Because the thing is that I tell people, whether they're a job seeker or a business owner, if the ideal person came across their profile, do they know that you could solve the problem that they have? And then in addition, Monica, with a little dose of sarcasm, LinkedIn makes money because premium subscribers still see ads. And that is true. That is an additional source of LinkedIn making money. But the amount that they make off premium, they may pay 30 to 100 bucks. Recruiter licenses sometimes are 1,000 a month. And imagine you're a big company that you're paying 500 to 1,000 a month per seat. That's where the big money comes from. So again, they will, they're gonna, as a company, they're gonna try to make money all through all ways, but they're not gonna rely on it because the biggest customers are the recruiters. They're the recruiting team, so they need to make sure that it's still valuable to them. Whereas the other platforms, like, they care about advertisers, right? Um, and Fontella says you're 100% correct about everything. Thank you for the support. Someone asked, do you recommend making posts frequently? Now, if you making posts frequently is a great thing to do. However, you have to make sure your posts are structured well, that you have an audience. And the other thing is you have to know why are you creating posts? Are you creating posts to get hired? Are you creating posts to get business? Are you creating posts to build network? So you really have to think, because so many people just post, but they post aimlessly. So you really have to think about that. Um, and then, just to kind of show you, like, 316 appearances, and this varies. And look, someone says 1,100 per month, and our recruiter team has 10 seats. And then, so you see, like, that's 10K. Like, think about it. They would need like 200 users on premium. Um, Again, how should posts be structured? That's really going to depend on your audience, right? What does your audience respond to? And I would say that it's important to understand like the different styles. Are you a more technical audience? Are you a younger audience, a more executive audience? So these things all. Um, Premium, is it worth it? I will give you some things. One of the you if money is an issue, you can get away with not having premium. Premium is worth it in an instance in that there's something called an open profile where someone else with premium can message you for free. So if you're a business owner, it is worth it because someone can message me and ask for my services without using an in-mail credit. Also, from a recruiting standpoint, recruiters are more likely to reach out to you if you have premium and you have the open profile because they are not using a credit. Recruiters have limited credits, and the reality is recruiters will have a 5 to 20% response rate that uses up in-mails. There's no risk to message someone who has premium and has the open profile setting set. And even if you have premium, you can turn open profile setting off. And if any of you want to see it, it is in settings and privacy. If you go to visibility, I think data privacy, uh, messages, who can reach you, and then you see I have open profile on. Um, so make sure you have these on because if you turn these off, you will not get hit up by any recruiters. Now, someone asked anonymous, when it comes to networking, I was told to invest more on Twitter. So I'm going to tell you, I have 12.7K followers on Twitter. Twitter is great for networking. However, LinkedIn is superior in every way. Twitter is kind of going through an identity crisis where the future of the company is sort of in all hands. I spent a year on Twitter. I wish I had spent that time on TikTok or Instagram or doubled back on LinkedIn. So I actually doubled down on LinkedIn again. The reality is a lot of people aren't serious on Twitter. A lot of people aren't in. It's hard to find like people on Twitter because you have to find them through usernames. Searching usernames on Twitter is very tough. On LinkedIn, you can search by company, you can search by title, you can search by all that. So you have more flexibility. So I would not dilute my efforts. I only started growing Twitter after I had an established LinkedIn profile. And had I invested that time into TikTok or Instagram, I would have been way further ahead than just purely on Twitter. And Twitter, there are a lot of bots, there are a lot of other things that you have to deal with on Twitter. So at this point, I would not necessarily focus on Twitter. Um, yeah, and when you do find your tribe on Twitter, you'll do well. But again, I've had a lot of my tribe, they're not as active on Twitter. They stopped being active. It's just one of those things that they felt that it wasn't worth their time. Um, so you have to be mindful, but just realize that any platform can be used for networking, but it's hard to do multiple things, multiple platforms at the same time because each platform takes a lot of time, right? So if you have to dilute your effort, think about it. If you're trying to hit two goals at the same time, if you're trying to get better at two things at the same time, it's going to be hard, right? Versus if you're only focused on one thing. Um, Now, Albert, I can share about my open to work banner. Uh, do you want me to share or do you have something to say?
No, I don't have anything to say. You're giving your LinkedIn tips for the next little bit
Okay.
because you've got a lot
So
to share and I want you to share it with people.
so here's my perspective. I personally have no issue with the open to work banner. But how I feel about the open to work banner does not matter. The reality of the open to work banner is agency recruiters. These are recruiters that do not work for companies directly and they make money when they place a candidate. They can charge anywhere from 15 to 30% fees to place candidates. Agency recruiters have convinced companies that the best candidates are not looking for jobs. They say, hey, the best candidates are so busy working, they're getting so much opportunity that you have to contact me because I can find them and I can get them to speak to you, but you got to pay a fee. And why would a company pay a fee unless it's not easy to contact people, right? If they could get these people straight, they would. Now, agency recruiters have convinced them, hey, they're not looking because, or if they were looking, they could just post a job and kind of get candidates. Now, there's a perception that you are not getting opportunity if you have the open to work banner. Whether that's true or not doesn't matter. People will use it against you. The other thing is they will use it against you in salary negotiations. The open to work banner works in two scenarios. It works when you first put on the banner the people will reach out to you, be like, "Hey, Junaid, I see that you're looking for." Hey, Chris, I see that you're looking for this. So it works for the first week, and it works for smaller companies that can't afford LinkedIn recruiter seats because there are different levels of recruiters. And because in LinkedIn Recruiter, you can see whether someone's open to work, even if they don't have the banner. So it works for those small companies. But overall, I would say that it does hurt you. And if you are active in your job search, you do not need the open to work banner. And I'm going to tell you something. How many posts do you see? Hey, I've been looking for a job 6 months. I've been looking for a job for a year. And they all have the open to work banner. If the open to work banner worked how it intended, they would have already found something, right? Because someone would have reached out to them. But the reality is, if you're looking for a job, you have to be proactive. You have to put yourself out there. You can't expect someone to just wait for you, right? You can optimize your profile and you can do other things, but you have to go out there and generate conversations. So I hope that gives a perspective. Um,
How did you build your profile to 43,000 followers and the amount of engagement you get per post?
um, Honestly, LinkedIn is a networking platform, and so I'll be honest. Like I have done a lot of comments. I, I experimented. I learn some basics of copywriting, but I also make sure that my posts reflect my voice and who I am, right? Like when you
Hmm.
met me, I am who you expected me to be. I think
Yep.
sometimes people will compliment me, hey, you are exactly who I expected you to be. So I think it's like finding a style that's authentic to you. I know a lot of people who people meet them and they're like, hey, you're totally different. Like you're not who you are. So you have to find like a style that works for you. You have to find your audience. You have to know who you're speaking to and then experiment and have fun. Um, Now, honestly, if you're more experienced in senior leadership, get out there and network. I don't think like if I see so many senior leaders who have the open to work banner, and again, people are not going to come to you. So the open to work banner is an extremely passive way. Um,
Yeah.
so have fun with it. Yeah, no. So mine is not a job search. I use LinkedIn as a business owner. So that's totally different way of using it. And honestly, you'd be surprised that like sometimes you can get job opportunities that don't exist or in areas that you never thought of. But again, you have to kind of have fun with it, right? Like think about a post, like, hey, think about a post. Are you gonna engage with this? Hey, I need a job. Here's my experience. No. Whereas if someone keeps it fun, enlightening, share some things, right? You're gonna
Tell a
engage with
story.
something. Yeah, tell a story, right?
Yeah.
So some people ask what are main ways that should be different from what's on a resume. So a LinkedIn profile show more of your personality. It's a living, breathing thing. Show a lot more. Um, you can do a lot more, and then a LinkedIn profile also shows your mutual connections. It shows recommendations. It gives a lot more than a resume. Resume doesn't show your picture. So just realize you have a featured section. You have. I personally don't recommend using the open to work banner. Again, test it. Use open work banner, see if you get opportunity. But I do know that it can be used against you in salary negotiations. Um, no, and if you don't use the app, you don't need to. If you like using the desktop, I think it's good. I like the app just because I get to see my messages. But if you don't need to, and just like most companies will push you to use the app, just because they can send notifications and all that. But do what you feel comfortable with. But I do personally like using the app. Um, but find what works for you. Optimize your profile. You got to really think of, there's
Let's
a
walk
lot that
through
goes.
what you got to do to optimize your profile. Can you go to yours and show us everything that you've turned on or added a
Um,
photo to and so forth from the cover photo on down?
yes. So one optimization is like I have open work filled out, but I don't have the banner. So you see, I have the job titles, I have locations, I have all that. And just to kind of show you, and like I just recently got reached out by a contractor role at Facebook. Um, you're gonna see that this guy was like, "Hey, we have an opportunity with the world's largest social media company. This project, 10 months, 60 to 65 an hour." So again, that's because like I had the things on my profile. Um, yeah, I look, Michael, do it, keep it on for a few days and turn it off. The connections that want to reach out will reach out. Other people will not reach out. And simple as that. So now the other thing is, let me see some other questions. Yeah, any other questions out there? But before I go there, so now I have on creator mode. I have premium. So one of the benefits of premium is like people can visit my website. It can go to that. You can people can message me. I you know a this is a business owner a LinkedIn profile, right? So this is meant for business owners, people who reach out. I have my services. So I have some ratings over there. I have a featured section, so I have a recommendation. LinkedIn allows you to put your recommendations in the featured section, so that's another benefit.
And you can go
Um,
to my LinkedIn too if you want to show them a job seeker LinkedIn
yeah,
because
I'll show you job
I
seeker
use my
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn primarily for nine to
Yeah,
five purposes, so you don't hear me talking about Albert's List or this stuff over there. But
yeah,
I have what you would consider mostly optimized.
yeah. So you see, it's like the one thing I would say is I would put your company. That's the only thing I would put.
Oh,
Because you work for
okay.
a big company. SAS.
Yeah.
But you see, it's like right over there. I see his background, good profile photo, good background, results driven. Some highlights. You see, I see his, filled out. I see that education. He has some courses, some projects, volunteering. I like Albert, so I'm going to endorse him for his skills. And he has some recommendations. He has over 30 recommendations, which is solid. I'll tell you, most people only have like 2 to 5 negotiation. Um, so have that. And so someone says, when you say it can affect salary negotiation, are you recommending not to turn open to work for even LinkedIn recruiters? Um, so you can have on open to work, but you can have open to work. I have open to work, but I do not have the green banner. So if I go here, recruiters only and all LinkedIn members. The reality is in job seeking, you need to be able to walk away from a negotiation to command the highest salary. If you have open work, they will just perceive you as not having enough opportunity. So therefore, you have to turn it on, unfortunately.
That's like the internet version of splitting the difference, huh?
Yeah. So
Hmm.
it's just the reality. Like I wish it weren't the case, but look, companies will their goal is to not look, they want to give you a decent salary, but depending on the company, they will use it against you. And I've even seen it in some cases, a recruiter reach out, she presented an open to work candidate, and the guy was like, "Oh, why do I have to pay?" He's like, "I shouldn't have to pay you a fee. This person already says open to work. Like you didn't have to convince them of anything." So now she's not incentivized to send an open to work candidate, right? Like it's such a weird scenario, unfortunately. But none of my clients ever put open to work, and they get interviews and they get reached out. So it's like again, especially if you have um recommend if you're working at a place and you have open work, then it's confusion. It's like, did you get fired from your current place? Are you still leaving it on? So that causes other confusion. Someone asked, are the LinkedIn courses helpful in the job search? Um, yeah, I think look, taking some of the LinkedIn courses does show it shows that you have that aptitude. Um, it is one part, it can only help. And if you're going to a more technical field, you want to show that technical aspect. Yeah, and look, not everyone has expensive LinkedIn recruiter, but is it your fault if a smaller company recruiter does not have access to the seats? Like do you wanna hurt your scenario? Like let them message you. Right? And let them use InMail, right? Like that's their responsibility. You have to think like there are pros and cons to everything. You can't win in every scenario, but does it hurt you more than it harms you? Does it help you more than it harms you? And that's the way I would say. I would say, and look, if a small company can't afford LinkedIn recruiter, uh, like how do you know that they can afford kind of what you're looking for, right? So let them use the InMail and all that. What if you're on a long career break? um I would still, again, if you're on a long career break, then get out there. You got to start reactivating your network. um Again, you're going to have a certain perception. You need to get out there and start being active. I tell people that when you're on LinkedIn, it's not a passive thing. Yes, having an optimized profile does open you up to passive opportunities, but you need to get out there. You need to talk to people. You need to, put yourself out there, because it's your job search and you got to take control of it. We have 2 questions. So, networking. Yeah, you could look. You could take a long career break. You could list it. I know some people list it. And your why and tell your story. Just make sure you show that you're being active. How do you get recommendations? You ask people, like ask your coworkers, ask people who are your clients, ask people customers. Not everyone's going to give it because I've written over 700 resumes and I have 300 recommendations. Not everyone remembers, not everyone does it, right? It gets tough to keep up with, but having more that you have, the better, the more search results you appear in. Yeah, sabbatical is the better way to say it. So, what is the best non-sticky way of asking for a recommendation? Um, write recommendations for people. I think that's one of the best ways. Be like, hey, I wrote
And
this
ask people
recommendation
straight
for
up.
you. Yeah, and
Yeah.
just be like, hey, would you mind writing one for me? No pressure. Keep it light. Um, oh, there was second part of the question. Do you still have? Oh, answered. It's gonna be an answered. So the second part of the question, um,
I find that
lot.
LinkedIn has a lot of horn tooting and blowing, which is true.
Yeah, that is very true. So one thing. So look, here's one thing that I'm gonna tell you about social media. Social media has an above the surface personality and it has an under the surface personality.
Oh yeah.
LinkedIn on the surface has this like, hey, just people just virtue signaling and all that. Twitter has this thing where people are fighting all the time and arguing with each other. However, there are strong communities on Twitter. There are strong communities on LinkedIn. What you have to do is you have to actually curate your feed. You have to customize it. You have to engage with the content you want to see. So many people complain about a platform and they don't engage. So it's like, what is the algorithm gonna feed you? Right? You have to maybe comment, do something, unfollow people, like use that on LinkedIn. I think you can take control. Like my feed is pretty active of great connections. Um,
Yeah. It's a good
look,
Q&A so
you
far.
yeah, this is good. Great. Someone said if health issues, just realize you can share as much or as little as you want. I've had some people who felt comfortable sharing, hey, I had some health issues, but now I don't have those health issues anymore and I'm back on the job search. Again, it's what level of comfort you have towards the situation. So I personally would say, like, if you're comfortable with it, cool. But you can just say sabbatical. The beauty is you can share as much or as little info, but it's you just have to be comfortable with having a sabbatical. If you're comfortable with that, that's what matters. Um, I'm
Yeah.
still waiting. Okay, so reposting other thing and adding perspective. Um, yeah. So this I'm gonna answer some. The goal is to just answer questions about LinkedIn in this webinar. Just because like LinkedIn, I'm just scratching the surface. Um, there's a lot that goes into it. So if you're transitioning from employment to business owner on LinkedIn, you have to really change some things. Because oftentimes a lot of people when they have a connections, it's their former colleagues in their industry. So, and you can absolutely post your LinkedIn URLs to connect. I'll put my LinkedIn URLs over here. One thing I would say is you have to really start focusing and building. Um, you have to focus on building uh new type of content and you have to focus on engaging new type of customers. So you have to be active to sort of build a new network. The one unfortunate thing about LinkedIn is you only have one profile. So you can't I don't recommend creating another profile because you can actually risk getting banned. I've seen people create it and they lose both profiles. And LinkedIn, unfortunately, their customer service is not that great when it comes to reactivating a profile. Um, and just like Monica said, the feed is stuff that's interesting. So really curate your feed just like any social media. Um, no, and I want to answer questions because these are specific things you have. And in terms of job postings, so now applicant is indicated of the numbers viewing the job posting and not necessarily the number of people that applied. So if it's an easy apply, they can calculate the number of people applied. That's on LinkedIn. If it's the other one, it's based on clicks and that's an estimate. And it's not necessarily true. But just realize just because a lot of people applied, a lot of my clients have gotten those jobs. Just realize 30 to 90% of people who apply to jobs may not be qualified for the jobs in the first place. I've had, you know, I've seen a lot of people who are applying for roles that they don't even qualify for. So you may only have, even out of 100, you may only have 10 to 20 qualified. So again, if you're qualified, you should at least put some effort. And again, you shouldn't prioritize jobs that have a lot of applicants, but don't discount them either. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Roger. And always appreciate all the support. Albert, any questions or comments from you?
Save chat. That's a good question. If you want the chat, just reach out to me afterwards and we can do that. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now
We have a
look,
lot of questions here. Let's
now
keep
look,
going.
I will say you if 1,000 plus people applied, obviously I wouldn't encourage you to go out of your way, but if it's there, look, take the 1 or 2 minutes to it doesn't hurt. And then what I would do is maybe try to reach out, do a little more extra, do a little extra, try to find the recruiter, try to find the hiring manager, try to find, try to get a referral in, right? That's what LinkedIn is good for. Search up someone at the company, someone that went to your school. Um, Personally, I look, if it's easy apply, I'm gonna use it just because it's like it's quick. It goes to the same ATS. In some scenarios, sometimes the company posting is there, but it's like I'm busy. I don't have time to like fill out all these things and all that. So if the easy applies there, I'm gonna go straight to LinkedIn. Um, are there any new other job sites? There's a website called Job Board Search. It's an aggregator of job boards, but you can use LinkedIn, Indeed, Dice, Monster, ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor, Career Builder. So look at all these sites.
Hmm.
But the other thing is, depending on your industry, sometimes look for niche board. Like I saw one that was creatoreconomyjobs.co. So that's something that has happened, right? And I work 24/7, but I'm also a mom of three. I was thinking about putting this in my profile in order to show my multitask ability and others not of skills that the lot of skills. So here's what I'll tell you. Your pro When you're doing a profile, your profile isn't built for you. Your profile is built for your customer. So if your customer cares that you're a mom of three, cool. If your customer doesn't care, then don't. I think too many people focus on what they identify as, which is awesome. However, my customers don't care like about other things. They just care, can I get them the results? So depending on what your business is and all that, is that helpful? And I do think it's important to show that personality, but just realize that you have to lean in on at the end of the day, what do they get? Like, what's the benefit of them using you? What's the benefit of them talking to you? Why should they talk to you? And if the mom of three helps that for your customers, I've seen some people really do that. Like, I help working mothers do XYZ. Cool. But if it doesn't, then just be a little mindful. But you can definitely put that. Um, yeah, so quick apply. Yeah. And look, Fontella is giving some. We do go back and search for candidates, regardless of how many people apply. Just realize that. Just make sure that you're relevant to the role. Like a lot of people outside the U.S. apply to these jobs who don't meet the visa requirements. So just realize that.
A lot of
That
desperation. Yeah.
yeah, and sometimes I've seen like just to kind of show you, I'm gonna share something with you. Just to, I'm gonna share this person applied to all these jobs. Same day, they said they applied to account manager, associate project manager, senior HR generalist, compensation analyst, sysadmin Linux Unix, managed service engineer, data intelligence, data and analytics intern, and director of data strategy. And then this person messaged the recruiter the next day and was like, hey, what's the status of my applications? I didn't hear anything back. Just realize that while you're not applying to these jobs, a person like this is. And so these are the people who absolutely ruined the job search process for you. They're just applying and they didn't meet any of the requirements. So, you think this is what recruiters have to deal with. And that's why it makes it hard. So that's why they have to rely on an ATS. They have to do all this thing. Because think about it, if it's 1,000 candidates and a recruiter's recruiting for 10 to 20 plus roles, it's tough, right? They're going to look for like keywords, they're going to look for titles, they're going to look for software, but that's the reality. And no, it was not a bot. It was an actual person. Like people think they're bots. Trust me, I meet people all the time who apply for roles that they have no business applying for. They'll apply for 2 years straight while not upskilling. Um, yeah, and you know what? Um, so yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people use LinkedIn like Facebook. If you're not one of those people who use it professionally, you have a long way to go. I tell people like use LinkedIn a certain way. Keep a filter. It makes a big difference. Um, so what are things someone who's been using LinkedIn might not know? So you re it, this is not an easy question to answer. So you got to really think, what is a recruit? Put your eyes and put yourself in the shoes of a recruiter. What is a recruiter looking for? If you're technical, do you have the list of the software? Is your headline optimized? Do you have the titles? Are your companies filled out? Are your headline are the job titles filled out? Do you have an about me? Do you have your courses? Do you have certifications? Um, then now it's also hard for me to answer. I got to know what levels. So, if you want to share your profile, Monica, I'm more than happy to kind of look at it. Um, I do think mentioning that you attended a particular event is valuable. So, but how you can make it even better is that show the take a picture of the event, show someone you met, tag them, and share some insights that you've actually learned. Not just like, hey, I went to this event. Cool. It's like, hey, I went to this event. Here's what I meant. Here's what it was about. Here are some learnings, and then tag, someone there. So that way someone's likely to repost it. Someone's likely to comment on it. Again, you have to really build the story, right? Don't just be like, hey, went to this event. Here's a picture. Cool. Please like my post. That's not engaging, right? Make sure that people who walk away, look at it, they actually gain some value from the post. They have something to take away. Um, and yes, there are roles that no one applies for. So just realize that not every job is on LinkedIn. Sometimes I find some companies on LinkedIn, and then from there you can go to their job site. Just realize their job board will typically have all the sites, all the jobs, and then sometimes they don't have everything if they're doing like a specific type of search. Um, the disadvantages of easy apply. There's more competition. So if your resume is not optimized and you're not applying for relevant roles, it's going to be much harder. Um, that's one of the things. And you're competing. A lot of international applicants tend to apply for those. Um, I'm in manufacturing right now. Yeah, so engineering is one of those areas that I know like people are doing well in engineering. So Monica, I'm gonna look at your profile. I'm not gonna publicly share it on the screen, but I'm gonna kind of look at you. So Monica, I really love that headline. Um,
Can you
you know,
share the screen and show us what you're
sure.
going through?
Okay,
That way
sure.
people can see.
Yep. So Monica, so I really love the headline. I like that background. I like that. Target industries. I think that's good. You have a decent number of followers. You have your portfolio link. That's amazing. So have your portfolio link, case studies. This is absolutely beautiful. I can email you directly. This is really nice. Um, yeah, this is good. This is good. The other thing is about me. This is a great uh this is a great about me methods. I like that. You have your featured section done. Um, cool. This is good. Maybe you could put some more results in this contract. Chicago Public School. So you're a teacher. That is amazing. You have some education. Now I always check people's activity. Um, I'll give you a like. Now, one thing is you got one comment. Now, one thing is I would say is you got a comment, answer that comment, right? If you only get one comment, you better answer them. So do the best that you can, but if you definitely have one comment, it seems that you tend to do pretty well. But what I would say is, especially when you're early and you're building your profile, this is your community. These are people who have taken time out their day. Find a way and message them, be like, hey, really appreciate you supporting that post. That's a great way to really connect. One thing that a lot of recruiters will do is they'll check your reactions. So you're active on LinkedIn, so that's good. Um,
Show
you
us
know,
your posts.
my posts,
Yes, the ones that
sure.
get hundreds and hundreds of likes
It
or
depends.
reactions.
So this is good that you're commenting, you're being supportive. So this is good. So mine, I've been slacking. So hold on, let me see.
Uh-oh.
No, but it's fine. I've just been really busy and like traveling and this and that. So this one did all right. I gotta answer all the comments on this. I'm reposting Kevin. Um this one did all right. 13,000 views, but this one got two people reaching out to me based on this post for business. So that's kind of what I care about. This is a repost. This one did well. Oh, this is a repost. This one did well, 147. But you see, it's like it got more likes, less comments. This is Kevin and I being clowns. This one did well, 13,000 views. This one's a repost. This one, my friend, he has like 240K followers. But you see, it's like this one, 28,000 views. Um, and this one, I got a collaboration because of someone who found me on LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is a good platform. So you see it, like I've had some posts that do really well. Some you're gonna get a mix. Um, this one I met her because of LinkedIn. So yeah, so I like having fun with it. 23,000. So I used to be like I used to care a lot more about views. Now it's like it's honestly I'm working 7 days a week, so it's like kind of tough to do that. Um, no, some people say easy apply jobs are not real. I've gotten Many of my clients have gotten interviews through Easy Apply. I've gotten interviews through Easy Apply. It is real. People who tell you that their resumes aren't good and therefore they don't get hit up. If your resume isn't good, Easy Apply won't work. Simple as that. That's the reality. Like companies like do that. Um so use LinkedIn. Well done. Yeah, Monica, that's a good profile. Ways to optimize your profile, tagline. So one thing is you want to make sure you have what people are going to search for. So if you're a UX designer, you got to put it in the post. If you're a project manager, I usually say if you're a job seeker, put your company that you're at because recruiters look at that and that recruiters use that as part of the recruiting tactic. If you are a business owner, make sure you put what you do in your headline that people know like what am I going to get out of it? Maybe you could put a result. Um, Now, advice to level up, I would say for you, be consistent. I think you've already done a lot. You already have, over 1,500 followers. Now the next thing is attend audio events, attend LinkedIn Lives, start getting on networking calls. I mean, you're obviously doing a lot, so just keep at it. I've been active on LinkedIn over 5 years. I checked my stats. I've done over 100,000 comments within that time. I've done hundreds and hundreds of posts, but you don't even need to do all that, but you need to be consistent. Too many people think that they're going to get a result 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, 4 months. I just got on an intro call with someone I met 4 years ago who was not active on LinkedIn who want to reactivate and they're talking about a partnership. So think about the long term, um, and don't just realize that it doesn't take a day, but doing it will have long-term results. And LinkedIn is a platform that, as you see, it's not going around. Some other platforms go up and down, but LinkedIn is one of those things that other platforms don't compete with it. Like TikTok and YouTube Shorts and IG Reels, right? They're competing for shorts. They're doing all that. Whereas LinkedIn is like sort of like the ugly cousin that stays in its corner. So use that. Um, so yeah. Um, and as Fontella, who's a recruiter, Easy Apply is real. Companies wouldn't do it. And if it wasn't real. I mean, does that mean all Easy Apply are real? No, but you can't really focus on it. Just get your out there. Um, and all that engagement, well curated feed. Um, and one of the reasons I will say is one of the reasons I comment a lot is because it gets my headline out there. And just realize that you have a shorter amount that gets out there when you comment, but just realize comments are a form of content. Um, and yeah, you could do a LinkedIn Live. You could join someone's LinkedIn Live. You could join someone's audio event. Someone else, Julia asked. Let's go, Julia. Um, Julia, so you have a non-English profile. So I will do my best, but it does look like this is good. You have the top branding voice. I like this. Now, this looks nice. Increase creator. Now I would do this. This shows that good. Good. Now, Julia, are you looking for a job or are you looking at it from a business owner's perspective? So I could give you some more feedback. Another job. So one thing that I'm going to tell you is when you're looking for a job, you have to be careful if you have overlapping things. So this looks like your actual job, and this looks like something that you're working on. Sometimes what I would do is put one of them in the volunteering section because sometimes a recruiter may get confused, and a lot of recruiters don't like people who have multiple jobs. So that's something you have to be a little mindful of. And the other thing you're missing is you don't have anything under your jobs. So just be a little mindful of that. But you have some volunteering over here. And one thing I would say that that you're missing is get some recommendations. And don't feel bad that it needs work. That's why you're here. And just look, my LinkedIn wasn't always optimized. It took some time. Um, how do you transition from an informational interview to asking for a referral? What I would say is you have to make sure if the person wants to give you a referral, they're going to give it to you. So you have to make sure, what I would say is in networking, what I've learned is the more I give, the more I receive. Try to figure out some way that you could benefit them, right? Show that you're not every other job seeker, because most job seekers are very transactional. They're just looking for a referral. And after that, they ghost the person giving them the referral. So try to do something um, that sets you apart. Try to make their life easier. Try, if they have content, try to engage, try to take the relationship further. Um, my process for writing posts, sure, let me go into that. So my process for writing posts is I try to think of a problem that my ideal who am I writing for? So I have to think about who is going to benefit from this post. Then I have to think about a hook. What's going to get them to stop? So I'll write the post and then I'll be like, hey, what's going to make this catchy? What's going to make this better? Then I'm going to write it. I'm going to look at it. Then I'm going to shorten it. I use shorter sentences just because people respond better to shorter sentences. I space it out. And then I kind of post and I make sure to engage. And right. And it's one of those things that you get better at it with over time, and you'll have a personality that tends to work. What are recommendations for contract hires at the same organization? So what I would say is if you're a contract person at that company, you have to use LinkedIn to network with people already at the company. You have to build internal relationships. You have to get advocates. That's your time. You're in the company. You have access to company email. Do as many coffee chats. Do all that. That's what you have to do. Now, so if you're unemployed for a year, I would start volunteering and joining communities. Yeah, volunteering, and make sure you brush up on your resume, and you got to really make sure that you're just active on LinkedIn. So to have 2 pages, I don't recommend 2 profiles. You can have a business page, but I always say like, yeah, be mindful because LinkedIn sometimes gets hard on banning profiles. So I would say have one profile, and you have to really think about what you want to do. Business wise, if you have to think about it, is your company okay with you having a business? What's your main goal? Some companies, some people are, like Albert does have a business, so he has to kind of do things outside, and he has to work through DMs and through the back end.
Yeah, I lived through Eventbrite, Meetup, and Facebook.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, let me do one more review. I apologize. We're kind of, running out of time. So I want to ask Claire. Claire has been so supportive, so I really appreciate you. So one thing that I'm gonna tell you, so never put aspiring. People don't hire aspiring data analysts. They hire data analysts. So just put data analyst. You got to put, do you know SQL? Do you know Python? Do you know Tableau? Do you know Power BI? So put that in your headline. I would put that the industries that you worked on. So you worked in higher education. You worked at, I kind of see you worked at, I would say kind of that you worked in higher education, and make sure you put that. The next thing that you should do is, if you have the featured section, you should put that you should put your projects, your data projects. I think that's one thing that you want to do. A little more in the about me. Um, so now here's the thing. Ask me about my latest project, or check out my GitHub. Now, to find your GitHub, I gotta go, and I don't know where your GitHub is. So just make sure you can actually put a link, or you can put your GitHub over here. So you can't have people like, think about it. If I'm a recruiter, and Fontella can tell you, if I'm a recruiter, I don't want to have to do extra work to find your thing. I don't have to message you and like, hey Claire, can you give me your GitHub, and then look at, right? Because there's someone else who has their GitHub. So you have a good start, but you want to put that. Yeah. No, I love that you're happy to introduce them to any of your connections. I think that's good. Always try to uh do what you can. Just try to set yourself apart. And I know uh if we have time at the end, I'm more than happy to do some more. But yeah, so Albert, I know you have some things you want to share.
Yeah, so I want to thank you all for coming in today. And as you know, this being an informational webinar, I also wanted to offer you guys a little bit more. Can you see my screen? Please let me know
I
if you
can I
can.
can see it. I can see it.
Cool, perfect. So, um, in addition to what we've been sharing with you today, it's clear, right, to all of you that Jonayad is someone that I trust, and Jonayad also knows a lot about LinkedIn. And one of the things that we want to be offering is for the month of June, which is coming up really next week, is the ability to help you optimize your skills on LinkedIn and become more proficient at LinkedIn. And so we're launching the 4 Weeks to Success LinkedIn Business and Career Bootcamp starting June 6th. And so a little bit before that, right? This is sponsored by Albert's List. I mentioned I am the Albert of Albert's List. We're a community with 49,600 members. And if this is your first time, we are an organization that does boot camps and we help people get hired. We have a number of free and paid opportunities that you can always take part in when you engage with us. And so with Albert's List, you can learn how to do stuff within your job search. You can learn to be an entrepreneur. And these are multi-week programs that are very much supported by folks like yourself and by me and Joe Nyatt, who get out of our way or get or who put some time on our calendar to ensure that you can learn LinkedIn and all these other things to help you with your professional experience. And there are those of you who have been with us on our boot camps before, so you know how this whole thing works, and you could probably speak to it if you'd like to. Um, and so, yeah, Fontella is a boot camp grad. She's been with us before, and she can speak to whether she's actually liked it or not. And I did not pay her to say her opinion one way or another. So we have two things that are coming up. One is our 4 week live boot camp, which starts June 6th. And that's just for those who want live guidance starting on the 6th with 60 to 90-minute weekly sessions, plus 60-minute weekly office hours, and an ongoing group chat to stay in touch on LinkedIn, which will stay open after you complete the boot camp. And then access to our broader bootcamp network because there are a lot of other bootcamp graduates. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and post a link to the ability to sign up today. We do have a launch price of $207 for those of you who want to join us. And so the link is, as soon as it loads here, sorry. Here we go. Yep. It's there. And so you also get discounts to future boot camps because we host quite a few of these across resume editing, starting your Amazon bootcamp, Amazon e-commerce store, and so much more. So today's special launch price is $207 with a 20% with a $20 discount plus Eventbrite fees. We're also working on an on-demand course for those of you who want to DIY it. It's a multi-session course taught by Joe and Ayad. It's self-paced, no office hours, and we're going to be launching that soon at $97. So we're going to follow up with you on that. And so we're going to learn. You're going to learn how to optimize your profile. A lot of the things that Jonai talked about here, how to create content and get noticed, how to network on LinkedIn and get replies, whether you should use premium or not, ways to build your business, ways to build your career, and more. And so you've seen what Jonayad has done for you for the last hour or so, and how he sees LinkedIn. And you're going to get one-on-one, not one-on-one, but group coaching and also office hours coaching if you'd like to see how you can do this for yourself. And, the most important part of that piece is, having seen Jonayad work within our individual job search bootcamp courses, I know you're going to get him within that context times about, I would say, 4 to 8, depending on whether you show up to office hours. And knowing how focused he's been and how he builds his business, he knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to this. So, my call to action, and I know I'm doing the hard sell, is that I want to encourage all of you to get started today because the business environment continues to change. And so with the job market changing, with the economy changing, you're going to want to adapt, and building your brand is important. We want to encourage you to set yourself up for success, whether you're starting a business or looking for work. We want you to connect into the broader and bigger network for accountability and community because a lot of you probably want to do LinkedIn a lot better, but aren't quite sure whether you can unless you have somebody pushing you along the way, right? And so that's me and Jonide alongside you for the month of June leading up to July 4th, where you can optimize your LinkedIn capabilities. You can also work with a LinkedIn top voice who helps businesses and job seekers daily. I know this because I send people to Jonide all the time and vice versa, and we're always helping people. And you do it all for the fraction of individualized coaching. I know that Fontella was mentioning how there are people who will charge you for LinkedIn just to have something like this, a Q&A. And so you do get that here. And you get it at a fraction of like, say, 1,000 to 2,000 bucks where people normally charge it at. So I encourage all of you to sign up. I'm going to go ahead and drop in that link in there again, and you can feel free to join us. And we're going to be doing this webinar again next week. So in case you missed out on something that you wanted Jonaid to talk about this week, he is going to be back next week on May 30th for this same exact webinar. Maybe we're going to change it up a little bit, but we're otherwise going to run this again. And then the webinar for our boot camp starts on June 6th. So yeah. Cool. All right, Jonah, I'm going to hand it back to you. I think I've done enough selling for a little bit, but we'll follow up with this in a message, and hopefully y'all will like what you have here and sign up, and we'll see you and we'll have a chance to work together.
Yeah, so I want to say, even if you don't buy the webinar, buy the bootcamp, just get active on LinkedIn. I've given more than enough free things. Even being active, you don't need the best profile to get the best results. And you can get serious results by just being active. You can find so much community. We'll just go much more in depth just because each of these things that I'm touching, I can speak to for 30 minutes to an hour, right? Like I can speak hours about little intricacies of LinkedIn because each part makes a big difference. But regardless of whether or not you're gonna buy it, I hope everyone the best of luck. Just get active on LinkedIn, and I wish you the best of luck, whether it's a job or a business. I want everyone to do well.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm good. And yeah, thank you everyone. I appreciate everyone who came through.
Cool. Wonderful. Did you want to do any more LinkedIn profile reviews, or did we want to
Yeah,
just end
I'll
it
do a
here?
couple more. I actually got a client in a little bit, but I'll do like the few more that came by. Uma
Sounds good.
there. She was first. Who was first? Can you Nora? Uma. So Uma, I have time for two more. Um, so Uma, love that profile photo, love that background. This is good. One thing is, if you worked at a company, honestly, I would say marketing director at this, even if you're not working at there, just to kind of show because it's recent. This is good. This is kind of how I do that. You have book a meeting, beautiful. I like that. One thing that I would say is like if you have this, um, you may want to also link to some other things. So maybe a link tree, but this book a meeting is good. I see that we have mutual connections. I like this. I think you can use more of the characters, like use more of your story. I love this featured section. This is nice, right? Different things. Um, Again, I think you could. This one you have. This is good. This is good. Um, Invite only. That's good. Sometimes what I would say is the member stuff you may want to put in volunteering at least temporarily while you're looking for a job so that this stuff moves up. Because right now it's going to say exit 5 and it's not going to have the last company. But overall, this is like a strong profile. Wow, this is like a very high amount of recommendations. So great job at that. Can I? Oh yeah, I can endorse you, so I'll endorse you. But overall, this is a strong start. Some licenses, some university. So definitely a good strong start. And then what background creator tool? I mean, most people do Canva. I had my business partner create it in Adobe. I actually got to change it because that's not what I use. So, and I'll do one more. So Uma was there. I think after Uma was Nora. Great photo. Like that background. Academic business development manager. So that's a lecturer, career break, finance, specialist in AI and education. Cool. DBA, PhD, nice. You have a lot of education, so that's very cool. One thing I would say is like you don't necessarily, yeah, I guess you could. You got your PhD. Um, cool. So the big thing I want to know is like, what is your next goal? Like that's what I'm not as clear on. This is kind of short, but I think like I would want to know like what your next goal is. Is it to get another professor job? Is it to do some of that? How Ryan Perry, Albert, accept his connection. He said, "How do I get Albert to accept my connect invite?" You shout it out, and I'm gonna tell Albert, Ryan, please accept. One thing I'll say, if you have personalized requests, just say, if you send me a personalized request that says Albert, I will 100% connect. Just realize that someone like me, this is my inbox. Like, hey, like this guy, he's gonna try to sell me. Um, like literally, he's gonna try to sell me some coaching program. Um, he's gonna try to sell me my podcast. This guy's trying to like, you get what I mean? Like, it's all just people trying to sell me. So try to do that personalization. It goes a long way, especially with people who just have a lot of connection. Cool, but yeah. But really appreciate everyone. I gotta kind of run out. But I have like a minute or two left.
Yeah. So, any final questions? I'm going to drop the boot camp ticket here. We'll get it out to you for $207 for a 4-week program. Hope you all can join, where Jonayad will go even more in depth and have more focus to work with you and help you optimize your profile and strategy.
All right, cool. Thank you,
Cool.
everyone.
All right. Well,
Appreciate it.
no questions. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll follow up with a video recording, and we'll hope to hear from you all soon. And we have our webinar next week as well, where you can join us for even more LinkedIn information. All right. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and talk to you all soon. Bye.